What's up, ladies and gentlemen? In this video, I want to talk about whether or not you should finance or lease a Tesla Model 3 long range. You see, the Tesla Model 3 really fits in this really unique spot because if you buy it or finance it, you do not get the $7,500 EV tax credit. But if you lease it, you do get the $7,500 EV tax credit. In fact, you can actually get a Tesla Model 3 Performance for a lower price than the Tesla Model 3 long range, simply due to the fact that the long range does not get the $7,500 EV tax credit. So what we'll do in this video is we'll go over the lease terms for the Tesla Model 3 long range in detail. And then in the second part of this video, we'll run the 1.25% rule of leasing on the Tesla Model 3 long range. And the 1.25% rule of leasing is just a rule of thumb that I use to determine whether or not a lease is a good value or not. And then in the third part of this video, what we'll do is we'll compare the monthly lease payments on the Tesla Model 3 long range to the monthly finance payments on the Tesla Model 3 long range using the same down payment. And hopefully by watching that part of the video, you'll understand why I think leasing a Tesla Model 3 long range is a financial no-brainer. Now, if that sounds good to you, if you could like this video, that would be greatly appreciated. Let's go ahead and jump into the computer. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are on the Tesla website. We have the Model 3 long range all-wheel drive pulled up here. And as you can see, you can lease this car for $439 a month, assuming $2,999 a month. Now, remember when I was telling you that the performance all-wheel drive is actually cheaper than the long range all-wheel drive? Check this out. If I hit the cash button and I turn this little toggle on, which, represents all the savings, including the EV tax credit and gas savings, you'll see that if you finance these cars or pay for them in cash, you can actually get the performance all-wheel drive for $41,490. And the long-range all-wheel drive costs a little over $1,000 more, about $1,300 more at $42,740. And if I turn this toggle off, you'll see that the cash price on the performance all-wheel drive is roughly $6,000 more, and that's where the $7,500 EV tax credit comes in, and that $7,500 EV tax credit makes the performance all-wheel drive cheaper than the long-range all-wheel drive. So look, if you're really looking to buy or finance a Tesla Model 3, I don't know why you would get or even consider an all-wheel drive when you can get a performance all-wheel drive, which is a far better car with a higher MSRP for less money. But let's actually go ahead and look at the lease terms on this Tesla Model 3 long range all-wheel drive. We'll just go ahead and click on this little icon down here. Tesla has recently changed their website. And as you can see, you can lease a Tesla Model 3 for $2,999 as a down payment, a lease term of 36 months. You can also do a 24-month term if you choose to do so, and annual miles of 10,000 miles. And ladies and gentlemen, you can get 12,000 miles or 15,000 miles if you choose to do so. And my recommendation is that if you know you're going to drive 12 or 15,000 miles a year, it's better to get the mileage up front rather than pay the excess mileage penalty. And in the case of Tesla, you're going to pay 25 cents per mile for each mile that you go over 30,000 miles if you do a 10,000 mile a year lease. Now, I'm not going to include taxes and fees. I'm just going to do $3,000 down because taxes and fees differ so much, depending on which region, state, county that you live in, that it just doesn't really make it an apples to apples comparison. Now, as you can see, the monthly lease payment is $439 a month. Now, other things you need to know about Tesla leases is that the due at signing amount that you're seeing right here, the $2,999, does not include the acquisition fee of $695 because a lot of manufacturers, their due at signing amount actually includes the acquisition fee. In Tesla's case, it does not. And it does not include the first month's payment of $439. And you're also, going to be in the hook for all the taxes on your rebates, and you're also going to have to pay registration fees depending on which state, county, municipality you live in. So here in Seattle, Washington, on this particular car, you're probably looking at about $700 to $800 a year, I'm guessing. I don't have a DMV calculator, but that is my educated guess. Now, another thing you need to know with Tesla leases, and this is extremely, extremely important, is that you forego the option to buy your car at the end of the lease and must return it to to Tesla after the lease term. So ladies and gentlemen, this essentially means that you don't have the option to buy the car. You don't have the option to realize any positive equity. So it's pretty much a long-term rental. But even with it being a long-term rental, I still think leasing a Tesla Model 3 long range is the better financial option. Now in this part of the video, I want to run my 1.25% rule of leasing on this Tesla Model 3 long range. And ladies and gentlemen, the 1.25% rule of leasing is just a rule of thumb that I use to determine whether or not a particular lease deal is a good lease deal in terms of value. Because look, a $500 payment with $3,000 down really doesn't mean anything. Is the car a $100,000 car, or is it a $200,000 car, or is it a $10,000 car? So my 1.25% rule of leasing takes the MSRP of a particular car into account, and that's how you get a value output. Now to run the 1.25% rule of leasing, what I'm going to do is take the down payment of $2,999, and I'm going to add the first month's payment of $439 since that is not included in this amount, and I'm going to add the acquisition fee of $695. And when I do that, I get $4,133. Now I'm going to divide this by 36 since this is a 36-month lease, and what that does is breaks that number down into 36 equal parts, which is $114. Now what I'm going to do is add the monthly payment of $439 back in. And when I do that, I get a monthly pre-tax payment of $553, and this is with $0 down. Not $0 due at signing because registration and taxes on your rebates is still excluded, but $0 down of $553 a month. And now what I'm going to do is multiply this by 1.1 to account for 10% sales tax here where I live in Seattle, Washington. Now I know 10% is a little on the higher side, but that's what it is. And when I do that, I get a monthly payment with $0 down, including taxes, of $609 a month. Now what I'm going to do is divide this monthly payment by this car's MSRP, which is $47,740. And when I do that, I get 0.0128. I'm going to multiply this by 100 to move the decimal point over 2 spots. And when I do that, I get 1.27%. Now with the 1.25% rule of leasing, anytime your monthly payment with $0 down, including taxes, is less than 1.5% of the MSRP, that's a good lease deal. That's a car that I would definitely consider leasing. If your monthly payment with $0 down, including taxes, is less than 1.25% of the MSRP, that's a great deal. That's a great lease deal. That's a car that I'm definitely leasing. I'm not financing that car. And if your monthly payment with $0 down, including taxes, is less than 1% of the MSRP, that's an amazing lease deal. And those deals just don't come around very often, to be frank. And that's a car that I am most definitely leasing. Now this Tesla Model 3 sitting at 1.27 is really close to 1.25%, and this is a car, ladies and gentlemen, that I would definitely lease, especially when you consider the fact that if you buy it or finance it, you do not get the $7,500 EV tax credit. Now in this part of the video, what I want to do is compare the monthly lease payment to the monthly finance payment, assuming you finance this car, and you'll see just how stark of a contrast there is between the two options and why I personally think leasing this car is a no-brainer. Now we kind of already touched on this a little bit, but as you can see, with $2,000 or $3,000 down, a term of 36 months, 10,000 miles, my estimated lease payment is $439 a month. Now for to finance this car with the same $3,000 down at 72 months, excellent credit, 6.49%, the monthly payment is $777 a month. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a huge contrast. In fact, if we take that $777 and minus or subtract the $439 lease payment, sorry, I missed the 3 there, $439, that's a difference of $338 a month. And if you multiply this by 36, like over the term of the lease, that's a difference of $12,168. You'd have to pay over 12 grand more to finance this car for 36 months versus lease this car for 36 months. Now, another reason that I would personally lease this car, even though it doesn't have a buyout option, is because Tesla is on this mission to lower the price of their cars. And when you combine that with the resale value of electric vehicles in general, you just have a really, really bad combination. I mean, look at the people who bought their Teslas 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. In a lot of cases for Model 3s, they're paying maybe $20,000 or $30,000 more than the price of them today. And those people are in a world of negative equity. They're in a world of financial pain. So when you lease this car, you not only get the $7,500 EV tax credit, but you also protect yourself from an unpredictable downside. So in my personal opinion, leasing the car just makes sense. I know the depreciation. I know what I'm going to pay. I'm not going to be hit by any, surprises from Tesla when they drop the price of this thing $5,000 3 months after I buy it, and that really tanks the used car market, and I'm sitting, on negative equity if I only put $3,000 down. So, in my personal opinion, leasing the Tesla Model 3 long range just makes a lot of financial sense. Now, if you have any questions about the Tesla Model 3 long range lease, please let me know in the comment section below. With that, I'm going to call it a video. Financial knowledge is power. Please like and follow for more.